This one's from Andy's Cool SN. We could just call him Andy. Do you have any recommendations or quick calculations for emergency savings for a rental property? I own a duplex with separate hot water and furnace and AC. Also, how much excited is so excited?
Love it.
Had to throw that in there.
This is a great question because people ask us this all the time. Hey, I really want to get into real estate. It's something that I'm passionate about. It's something I feel like I have an eye for. Maybe I've fallen backwards into it. I owned a home and then I upgraded and bought a new home, and I'm trying to figure out how do I do it well. Well, a lot of people think, hey, I've been working through the financial order. Brian, we hold the thing up. I've been doing the financial order of operations, and I got to step 4, and I have a fully funded emergency fund. I have 3 to 6 months of living expenses. So long as I have that, I'm probably covered when it comes to a rental property. Isn't that right? Well, probably not. I think that the answer to Andy's question is, as any good financial advisor will tell you, it depends. It depends on your unique circumstance, but this is what we love to see happen. We love that when someone has a rental property, because we all think about, man, it'd be great if I had a tenant in there and the tenant covers all the costs and then I have free cash flow. But what happens if that tenant's not in there? Or what happens if you go through 2, 3, 4, 5 months of vacancies? I would like to see, Andy, in your situation, you have an emergency fund that can carry the cost of a vacant property for a reasonable enough time for you to get another renter in there. Now, your market will dictate, is that 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months? Because what you don't want to do is something goes wrong, you have an emergency that happens in the house, and then the renter moves out. And now you literally can't afford to cover the float of that property sitting there vacant. So my opinion, Brian, I'm curious if you agree, when it comes to rental properties, you ought to have a separate emergency fund. And depending on your cash flow, it should probably be somewhere between 3 to 6 months of the float cost for the rental property.
Yeah, here, let's even add it a little bit more. This is why I always say residential rental or any rental property is step 8 of the financial order of operations. And part of this, and I want you to treat it like a business, is that, yes, they're probably, you look at your marketplace, figure out how long that places sit vacant. If is it 3 months, is it 6 months, and make sure you have that carry cost covered. But then I want you to go a step further. We did this on our commercial property, is that go look at all your systems. How old is the air conditioning unit? Is that, what's your maximum exposure if you had to replace that AC? How about your hot water heater? Go through all the different systems on the house and try to come up with a quick schedule of when it's going to be replaced, and then just plan accordingly, because things happen. Like especially if you're like on a septic tank, if this is out in the country someplace and not on sewer, that's expensive too. And these things, find out when the last time that was cleaned out. These are all things that you should do as part of the due diligence of getting into residential rental and treating it like a business so that you don't get caught flat-footed, because it can be great. It really can, but even great investments are going to require some work, and they're going to require some capital to keep them humming and working when you have these things pop up.
I think it's interesting because you've prepared, in your previous life, you prepared taxes a ton, and I think we get a bad rap because people assume that we do not like rental properties. We don't like residential rental, but that's not true, because you've seen tons of people who have done it successfully, but you've also seen people who have cut that margin way too thin and got themselves in trouble, right? Yeah,
what it typically, where I saw it, recognize, I've been doing this long enough that I got to go through the Great Recession and then the aftermath of that. And there's so many people who are trying to scale with residential rental, where I had a gentleman who was very successful in a financial sector, and he got into residential rental, and I think he was up to 45, 50 homes.
That sounds wild.
I know, and these were low price point homes, and it was working. On paper, he was worth a lot of money pre the Great Recession. But then the problem happened when we hit the Great Recession, because the problem with the leveraged debt is that when the people quit paying rent, and then all of a sudden the people started tearing up stuff because they're upset about the economy. They're upset at the landlord. There's just a lot of bad things going on. If you bring all those things together, the lack of rent payments plus people then now tearing up these things, and then the banks being in a position now where they want their money because they're under their own pressure, it created a lot of stress, a lot of hardship, and pretty much came close to breaking this person. And that's why I just tell you, be careful, because you see it all over social media. They'll say, hey, I did a flip, or I did this rental property and I'm getting cash flowing $1,000 extra a month. This is going to be, if I do this 30 times, I could be making 30 grand a month, because they do the simple math on it. But, and I guess in that moment in time, yes, it could, but also do the reverse side of that and say, what happens if you load up and you get all these rental properties and then things just don't go the way they're supposed to? That doesn't mean, because by the way, if you survived it, because let me tell you, I have another client that actually bought all their properties during the Great Recession. Holy cow, their balance sheet of their net worth statement looks incredible. If you think about what they got some of these houses for, what they cash flow now, and now what they, the appreciation from the investment. So it's just making sure that you can weather all storms, so you get to be the positive side of that versus being the one that had to unload all of your properties at the worst of time and break you.